Night at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The runway gleams under floodlights. A Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777 stands poised for takeoff, its white fuselage reflecting the amber glow. Luggage carts hum. Passengers move through the jetway ordinary faces in an ordinary moment. It was supposed to be routine. A red-eye flight north to Beijing. Business travelers scrolling through emails, families half asleep. Students texting one last message before switching to airplane mode. But routine can disguise. Tragedy. At 12:41 a.m. March 8, 2014. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 lifted from the tarmac and climbed into the humid night sky. 239 souls on board. 12 crew, 2 pilots veterans of the route. The world beneath slept, unaware that in less than an hour this flight would vanish into legend. Cut to blinking radar screens. Gentle electronic beeps fading into silence. At 1:21 a.m., the transponder went dark. No mayday, no distress call. Just an empty gap where a signal should have been. Military radar later caught a faint return, a wide arc westward across the Malay Peninsula. Then the trace dissolved into the Indian Ocean night. It was as if someone inside the cockpit had taken control and erased the plane from the grid. Soft ambient score swells beneath the narration. When dawn broke, hope turned to confusion. Families waited for news that never came. Officials clung to procedure, airlines to protocol. But every hour without contact stretched the impossible. How could a modern jet, tracked by satellites, simply disappear? Press footage of families crowding airport halls. Scrolling tickers, reporters shouting questions. By mid-morning, headlines circled the globe. Flight missing, contact lost. Search underway. Theories bloomed faster than facts. Hijacking, explosion, sudden decompression. Yet there was no wreckage. No signal, no clue. Only the echo of the captain's last transmission. Good night. Malaysian 370. And then nothing. The search began where the radar had ended. Over the South China Sea, ships combed calm waters for debris that wasn't there. Within days, satellite pings suggested the unimaginable. The plane had turned south, flying for hours into empty ocean. When I first read this case, I remember that feeling, the chill that comes when science and logic collide with silence. We believe we can trace everything: phones, ships, weather, even asteroids. But on that night, one plane slipped through the digital mesh of modern civilization, fade to black. Inside a command center, maps stretch wall to wall, glowing with concentric arcs over the Indian Ocean. Teams work in shifts. Coffee cups and exhaustion share the same table. The hunt for MH370 became one of the most complex searches in human history. 26 nations joined forces. Submarines, aircraft, satellites, all staring into an abyss 2 miles deep. Weeks turned into months. Every lead dissolved under the waves. And still, families waited. By late March, analysts discovered handshakes, hourly signals between the jet's satellite terminal and an orbiting Inmarsat satellite. Not messages, just digital nudges saying I'm here. Those handshakes revealed a ghostly path curving south into the Indian Ocean 7 hours after the last voice. Transmission meant the plane had flown on autopilot or deliberate control for thousands of kilometers, until fuel exhaustion or intent ended its journey. Visuals of vast blue ocean, search vessels dwarfed by distance, search ships scanned over 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor, an area larger than Pennsylvania. They mapped ridges never before seen, mountains hidden beneath the waves, valleys silent since the world began. But no fuselage, no flight recorders. When fragments finally surfaced washed up on Reunion Island, Mozambique, Madagascar, it was bittersweet. Confirmation without comprehension. Each torn flap, Each wing panel whispered the same word, gone. Slow dissolve to pilot's home. Flight simulator. Then came a discovery that split the investigation in two. In Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah's personal flight simulator, investigators found a saved route, a simulated path eerily similar to the one MH370 had taken. To some, it was proof of intent. To others, coincidence or practice gone darkly prophetic. The term rogue pilot entered headlines. The evidence was circumstantial. The official Malaysian report refused to point blame. It used one word that satisfied no one. Inconclusive still, theories multiplied. Could a sudden depressurization have incapacitated everyone on board while the jet flew on autopilot until fuel ran dry? Could a hijacking have gone wrong? Was there a catastrophic fire that disabled communication but not flight controls? Each answer created new contradictions. Families demanded transparency. Governments issued statements heavy with sympathy but light on detail. What if? Some wondered the truth was known but never told. Could radar data have been withheld to protect defense technology? Could satellite companies have filtered signals that didn't fit the narrative? Could competing governments have chosen silence over embarrassment? This was no longer just an air disaster. It was a geopolitical riddle where national pride, secrecy, and fear of blame tangled together. Archival news of Australian, Malaysian, and Chinese officials standing before maps. By 2018, the official investigation closed with 1,500 pages of analysis and zero conclusion. The final words of the report admitted what no one wanted to hear. The cause of the disappearance cannot be determined. That sentence became the gravestone of the search, but not its end. Rivate companies proposed new searches under no find, no fee contracts. Ocean Infinity, a U.S. marine robotics firm, pledged to comb another 15,000 square kilometers of seabed. Their drones moved like mechanical sharks through the dark, their sonar pulses echoing through silence older than time. They found mountains, shipwrecks, canyons, everything but the truth. Still, they promised to return. 10 years on, MH370 remains both a mystery and a mirror reflecting not only what we know, but what we choose to believe. Cut to graphic montage, fragments of online theories, scrolling headlines, social media clips, conspiratorial posts. The internet filled the vacuum of facts. Some claimed the plane was shot down accidentally by military exercise. Others believed it was hijacked to a secret base. A few even whispered of shadowy intelligence operations. In the absence of proof, speculation thrives. And speculation, repeated often enough, becomes its own kind of truth. But behind the noise or the quiet, facts, fragments of data recorded by satellites circling far above our atmosphere, data that science cannot fake. They tell of a flight southward into isolation, ending in a place so remote even whales rarely cross. Somewhere in that stillness lies the final answer, buried beneath 4 kilometers of pressure and time. Fade to black. The ocean at dusk. Gentle waves roll beneath a fading sun. On a beach, candles form the number 239. For the families, the word missing is a wound that never heals. Every anniversary, they gather lighting candles, sharing memories, holding photos that never age. To them, time has stopped somewhere over the Indian Ocean. 10 years later, mothers still set an extra place at dinner. Fathers still check messages that will never arrive. Children, once toddlers, now teenagers, still ask the question adults cannot answer. Where is the plane? The disappearance of MH370 reshaped aviation. Airlines adopted real-time tracking. Satellites now stream data every minute. Aircraft beacons extended their battery life. But rules can't heal grief. For those left behind, the mystery is personal. They live in the gap between hope and truth. In documentaries and online forums, Strangers argue theories like religion. Some cling to physics, others to politics. A few cling to faith. And yet, through all the noise, a quiet realization emerges. The story of MH370 isn't only about how a plane vanished. It's about how fragile our certainty really is. Cut to montage crowds at airports. Tracking screens, ocean maps, candlelight vigils. We like to believe the world is mapped, measured, understood. That our technology can conquer mystery. But MH370 reminds us there are still blank spaces on the map, both on Earth and within ourselves there. Vulnerability, that even in 2014, a jetliner could slip into silence. There's complexity, that in our search for truth, we often find how limited our understanding is. And there's transparency, that governments, corporations, and individuals alike must face the temptation to hide uncertainty behind polished statements. For many, MH370 symbolizes broken trust between citizens and systems, between technology and truth. Because if a plane can vanish in an age of constant surveillance, what else can disappear without trace? Soft piano enters beneath ocean ambience. Maybe the story of MH370 is the story of us, our faith in machines, our hunger for answers, and our fear of admitting what we don't know. Until the day the black boxes speak. Until the ocean gives up its secret, the question will echo across time and tide. Was Malaysia Flight MH370 solved or covered up? The disappearance of Malaysia Flight MH370 solved or covered up. Global Crime Stories. Subscribe for more true crime investigations.